All right. This is Miguel on the radio. Tonight, we're here tonight. It's dark outside. Today, we're here. Today is the 28th of January, 2026. We are excited. We are happy. We're positive. This is Miguel on the radio. I'm Miguel, your host. And we are live all over the world. Tons of people listening. Hello, hello. Welcome. Here we are in Warsaw, the harshest part of winter, but we have the heat inside, we have the fire inside where we are surviving. I am from Brazil, and I've been here for 2 years. This is my second winter. This is the harshest winter of my life. But we have amazing people around us, and we have the power of creativity, and we are here with amazing people. I'm Miguel, and I'm together with Camila. Camila, welcome to the show. Hello.
Hi, Miguel. Nice to meet you.
Would you mind just coming closer to the microphone or putting the microphone a little bit closer to you?
Sure, absolutely.
Fantastic. I can hear you well. I hope our listeners too. Welcome, Camila. Camila, I've learned a lesson in this show. Okay, we've done a few shows here, and what I've learned is that I should not try to guess or to pronounce our guests' surnames because I always butcher it. I'm very bad with the reading, especially local Polish names. They are beautiful. They sound like music, but I don't try to pronounce them anymore. Would you mind, Camila, giving us your surname?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pronounced Wojciechowicz-Krauze. So the second part is very much German because my husband apparently has a German heritage, but he is Polish. It's just that, yeah, apparently it means curly in German, Krause.
Krause.
Yes, so I have two surnames right now.
Oh yes, Camila, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Camila is an artist. She's a painter. She does. She's part of the Polish Artistic Association. She does so much, and her work is colorful. Is inspired by nature. There are a lot of animals and so much powerful. I'm a fan. I discovered your work recently, and Camila, I have to say, it brings some tropical vibe to me. Me
Oh,
coming from South America, it just brings me closer to home. Every time I see it feels like I'm in the forest, the rainforest or something, and it just brings some nostalgia.
oh, that's amazing. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I created because I love the colors and I mean, I was born in Australia, so for me colors are very important and well, if you visit the rainforest in Australia, there is a lot of color there. It's not just bare and sort of all barren and a desert and just eucalyptus. I mean, Australia has many different climates. It all depends on which part of the country you're in. Of course, the desert is one of the most beautiful places I think that I've ever visited. Like Central Australia is amazing, but you also have tropical rainforest there. And this is one of my sources of inspiration. Sadly, I've never been to Brazil. I would love to travel there someday, and also to Costa Rica because of the animals and the nature and everything. But I'm also inspired by, well, apart from nature, I'm inspired by, yeah, I'm inspired by Aboriginal dot painting. That's one of the types of art that I really enjoy. I actually did attend workshops a few years ago that were conducted by Aboriginal women from the Walpiri tribe, and they were teaching us how to paint, how to create dot paintings, and they also taught us the symbols behind each sort of stroke of the brush. So that was quite inspiring for me. And many of my mannequins are created. I mean, I don't do cultural appropriation, but I try to do my own sort of interpretation of how I feel it should look like.
That's so interesting. So yes, coming from Australia and having this as a nostalgia, this inspiration, as a memory. Living in Poland, Poland is may seem at the first sight very gray and monochromatic, and your work being so colorful. How do you find inspiration now, where you know in your environment?
Right now, well, it's true that right now during winter the sort of the landscape changes dramatically. Um, where do I drive my inspiration? Well, to be honest, I mean, I started a series of winter birds right now, which are sort of a reflection of the wildlife and of the mountains covered in snow and the ice. So this is right now my source of inspiration. So I use a lot of different hues of blue and but also orange and lavender because snow, it reflects light, and depending on how the light sort of is reflected, it changes colors. So it's not just white. It turns into well, sometimes when you look at snow, it turns pink, or it can be sort of extremely blue. So I mean, that's one of my sources of inspiration. But I mean, I also watch a lot of Bollywood movies right now where there's a lot of colors. And this is one of my also sources of inspiration, all the beautiful gowns in those movies and the dancing and the singing. So this is what keeps me upbeat.
Lovely, lovely. This worldwide culture. That's beautiful. We interviewed a lot of Indian artists here in the show. Um, so yes, tell us a little bit about your growing up. When did you take the decision to become an artist, or did you, was it something natural, was something that was conscient, or how did that work?
Well, I mean, to be fair, it appears like I was basically born that way. So as a neurodivergent person, I mean, I've always been a bit different from other people, and that meant that I always kind of stood out, and I was the odd one. So I had to find a way to sort of spend my time, and I would draw for hours and hours, even at the age of 2 years old, which is what my mother told me. So I started very early, and when I was 4, I already started attending classes, private classes of painting and drawing. And I mean, I did it for basically my entire life. I never, I did have a pause, which lasted for about 2 years, but then I returned back to painting and drawing. I made a sort of conscious decision when I was 16 that I would be an illustrator, a book illustrator. That was my dream. And one of the reasons why I wanted to become a big book illustrator was because of Józef Wilkoń. He's one of my favorite Polish illustrators. I'm a big fan of his. He's over 90 right now. I think he's 93 or 94. So, and he's still creating. He's still very creative. And for a while, I did illustrate books. I illustrated The Wind in the Willows for a Chinese publishing company. And then afterwards, I did several other books. I did a book for a Canadian author, Kay Campius Rittenhouse, and the book was published in Toronto in 2023. It was called Mara and the Bad Wolf. And I mean, it's still available. Like, there are illustrations sort of on the internet, and the book was published. There is a physical copy, but there's like an ebook that can be downloaded. And that was incredible. I mean, I enjoyed the process very much. Um, but right now, most of the time, I do three dimensional sort of painted sculptures. So I paint mannequins, but I also paint animals made out of resin. So last year, I had a pretty large commission that I did. It was a private commission. It was a horse, 1 to 1, sort of in terms of size. And it took me months to paint it. And it was a real journey producing it. Yeah, but in the end, I did manage to finish the horse, and then I had it published. I mean, I had it transported via truck to the clients. So that was one of the biggest projects that I did so far.
Yes. Oh wow. I want to talk a little bit more about illustration. I saw one of yours is the Ratty playing the banjo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's so for me it's almost it sends me back in time to my childhood, just reading those kind of books and watching cartoons. Um, so do you what is your target group? What's your when you did these illustrations, of course, kids and parents reading for kids, and it went all over the world. So how do you see the effect of your art?
Um, the effect, well, the target group is usually sort of either young adults or children or teenagers. That's my sort of target audience. When it comes to illustration, when it comes to other projects, it's usually adults. I do also a lot of adult art. However, the illustration of Ratty with the banjo was done for Wind in the Willows, and I would say that the target audience is, I think, 8 to 12 years old. However, the book itself, when it was published, it was originally for adults. So, for some reason, at some point, I'm not sure who made the decision, but there was a decision made that from now on it will be more like for children. But it was originally an adult themed book. So, that was quite a surprise for me. As for the impact that I did on other people in the world, well, it's really hard for me to tell because I mean, I'm trying to, I publish on a regular basis my artworks and I try to be as active as possible. I exhibit every year multiple times, and I also do attend expos. Last year I went to Hong Kong. It was my third time at the Art Expo there. And I mean, I try to showcase my works wherever I can, but the fact that I'm showing my work does not necessarily mean it's hard to tell what is the impact because I think that the moment when you realize what is the impact is when somebody else sort of recognizes you. I think this is how you can tell that you have made an impact, or someone will tell you, wow, this has changed my life to some degree, or this inspired me to, I don't know, become an artist as well, or now I was always passionate about art, but now I want to actually do this as a profession. I think that if I'm able to do that sort of an impact, then I mean, then it's a real success.
Mhm. And what's your creative process like? So of course you have projects that are commissioned and sculptures and then the client says more or less what he wants, and then you have some sort of guidelines to work with. Yeah. What about what when you want to create something? And it's not a commission; it's something that comes from inside. Is a completely you project. How do you start, and what is your creative process like?
Well, this has changed over the years because at the beginning I did mostly graphics. I even did traditional printmaking for some time, and they were pretty serious artworks. Uh, Nowadays, my work is a little bit more vibrant and colorful and a little bit more positive. But I mean, there was a time when I did pretty dark themed artworks like Slavic mythology and sort of medieval beasts and that sort of work. And the process was well, it was quite interesting. It's a very intimate process, like because when you're sort of sitting in front of this piece of paper and thinking about what it's going to be, then you need to sort of set a mood, and usually music really helps in that respect. I always listen to music whenever I create, or I need to have something in the background. I'm not really capable of working in pure silence. It's impossible for me. There has to be always some sort of noise. So that's one thing. Secondly, well, I usually when I create, I think of a series. I try to not just think of one artwork, but I try to think of a series of artworks and how they're going to work together. And I think this is pretty important because as artists, of course, it's great if we can produce one single thing. But most of the time, I mean, when you're a professional, you do have exhibitions. And if you have an exhibition, you need to have some sort of a theme. If you're preparing an exhibition and you have a theme, then you need to know that, let's say, you need to prepare a series of works and they all need to be compatible. They cannot just be like one is, I don't know, a pink Barbie and the other is a scar. I mean, maybe some people can combine it, but uh, yeah. So the process is a very intimate and sort of it can be a bit difficult at times. It's not always a joyful process. Sometimes it can be quite challenging, and but this is also important because art isn't always fun. Sometimes you sort of need to dig into the psyche and sort of discover things about yourself that you don't necessarily you're not necessarily happy with, but that's okay because no one is perfect, and that's fine.
Wow. So very interesting, Camila. Looking back at your, you know, journey. Would you describe your art in stages? So you mentioned a period where it was a little bit more dark and with Slavic mythology. You described the period that you have the illustrations and do you see it as a separate thing, as a separate stage? Do you see that it goes from one to another, or do you see it as something that is mixed? There is no separation; it's always a combination of many elements.
Well, I think that there are stages. Like with Picasso, for example, he had his blue period and then he had his pink period. So I do believe that I also have stages in my artwork, and they reflect sort of my development as a human being. So I did have my blue period when I did produce a lot of dark themed art, and uh, it was like I already mentioned, it was quite a difficult process, but the effects were worth it because in the end I did win a few prizes for these works. So clearly, someone did appreciate the fact that I had to sort of almost perform a vivisection on myself in order to produce these works. That's literally how it felt like, to be honest. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When you're trying to create something sort of straight from the heart, it can be very, very difficult. And yeah, it can be very intense. But then afterwards, I started to produce a slightly different work because um, I met people in my life who were very positive, and I was invited to a residency in the US. And that was the first time when I traveled to the US, and I met so many people who were like positive, but not in the false way, not in the fake American way, but sort of in an actual way. Like they were really trying to support me. They were fans of what I did, and they really wanted me to sort of showcase my art. And they would invite me to sort of collaborate with them. I was also sort of exhibiting there at a few galleries, and it was very exciting. And I did manage also to sell quite a few pieces there. So, I mean, I did find an audience, and the people, they really appreciated what I did, and they loved it because for them it was very European and sort of medieval and all of that. So they really really appreciated it, and I was then afterwards invited several other times. So I even had an exhibition in Manhattan, like in the very center of New York City. I had a whole exhibition that lasted for 2 weeks, and I was exhibiting my works there, and it was just amazing. I mean, I loved it. And at the very end, when I was about to leave, because I stayed there for 3 weeks, during the last week when I was staying at a hostel. Yeah, I was poor back then. I was staying at a hostel, but it wasn't an ordinary place. It was filled with murals and graffiti. And I asked the owners whether I could produce something there on the wall. And they said yes. And then I painted a mural of a rhinoceros uh, with a pilot's hat and goggles, and it's still there on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you left your mark
I
on
left my mark. Yeah,
that.
that's right. It's incredible. I mean, like in one of the most amazing cities in the world, that there's
Mhm.
like a mark.
It's fantastic, amazing, amazing. And how much of your work? Okay, we see the results, we see the tip of the iceberg, we see the art there, the colorful, the things being made. How much of your work now um, is just maybe marketing or office work. Um, how how does that change as well? Maybe a few years ago, you had a different process behind, hidden behind the results. What's how much of your work is um, hidden in and behind the colorful and the result of the art?
You were asking about office work. Well, there is a moment when, if you're sort of living off of your art, it does sort of start to resemble a little bit office work, because it's not like the way some people say that, oh, you just wake up and every day is an amazing sort of inspiring day, and you just create, and the sunshine is there, and the birds are singing and all of that. I mean, it would sound great if that were the truth. But the reality is that at some point, if you're supposed to create as an artist, well, you just have to treat it as a job, that you're just working there for a certain amount of time. It doesn't really matter how much time you spend, as long as the results are there. That's what matters. The final result is what matters. Um, and I mean, well, I don't want to sound too sort of down to earth, but bills have to be paid, and if this is if this is your source of income, you do have to present yourself to the public. You do need to take care of your social media, and you need to be constantly present, and you need to be sort of always there, because if you're not, people are going to forget. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. Yeah, so every day, my sort of you can say my ordinary day is like, I wake up and I check my social media, and I check what are the results, and then afterwards I try to sort of, every week I make several posts with new works or with exhibitions or something else that is happening, so that the audience knows that I'm still alive. And I try to also produce several works every week, so that there is always an amount there, and I don't have to publish everything straight away. It's not necessary. Sometimes it's better to publish only one or two pieces, and then sort of feed the audience with additional ones a little bit later. Uh, but yeah, it's important to sort of remember that it's not necessary to feel inspired. It's important to treat it as an intellectual process. And of course, if there are emotions involved in it, that's great. It makes it all the better. But also, it's okay if it's not necessarily that case, because what matters is that you keep on working, you keep on drawing, you keep on painting.
And how do you keep focus in a world full of distractions, in a world that is constantly, taking away our focus? How and we imagine the life or the routine of an artist having a certain degree of freedom. How do you organize that, and how do you deal with everything else?
I don't. I don't. No, I mean, it's impossible, really. No, I mean, the thing is, there is a lot of distractions, and if you have like AUDHD, like I do, it's very, very hard to focus. But in the end, I do eventually sort of remind myself, hey, you need to get your job done. You can't spend all your time on social media. You have to do other stuff. Stop watching Netflix right now. So that's what happens. It's quite difficult in that respect. But like I said, eventually, if you're able to produce the results, that's what matters, not the amount of time you spend on it,
Mhm.
just the result. If it's there, if you did your job, then it's all good. Um, yeah, but I mean, okay, let's be frank. I did start very early on, sort of working on my individually, because when I was still in IB, because I studied also sort of international baccalaureate diploma program, I had to work on my own, and I had to study on my own, and I was okay with that. I was fine. I didn't need other people, and and I managed to sort of finish it, and then afterwards study in London. And then when I was in London, I also had to work on my own most of the time. So I'm kind of used to the fact that there's no one sort of above me, sort of supervising me. I
Hmm.
just have to make sure that I have everything done. But in my case, the best thing that works for me is a tight deadline. If there's a strict deadline, usually this is what really motivates me to do my work. So when I'm under pressure, this is how I perform my best.
Pressure is the secret. Okay, the
Yes,
secret
lots of
weapon.
pressure.
And you brought a certain not a pattern, but something interesting there. So you always have some sort of safety net because you studied, you have a background. Did you have a plan B in case maybe if art did not work? Did you have another plan? Something? What would you do if you were not a painter?
There is no plan B. That's all I do. I'm not capable of working in a corporation. I'm just not compatible. And Yeah, for me, it's basically impossible to work at a regular office. I can't do it. I did try when I was in my 20s. I did try to work for a it was a design, well, yeah, visual design company, and logos and that sort of thing. And I spent there like 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, I realized I would rather die than continue working there. I just couldn't stand it. It was not for me. However, if I were not creating visual arts, I would still be very creative because I would probably become either a dancer or a singer or an actress. I would just combine all the three things together because there was a time when I really wanted to do musical. And I was sort of preparing myself, and I even did like workshops and all of that. So I was learning how to sing. I was practicing with two of my other friends. Both of them played the piano and several other instruments. And the three of us, well, actually the four of us, because there were like four of us friends, we would sort of practice, and then we would perform at high school. But then I had to make a choice whether I want to continue sort of with musicals or whether I would like to do visual arts. Well, okay, there was also biology. I was also thinking about becoming a biologist, like marine biology. So maybe that. Yeah.
And what's your favorite musical, Camila?
My favorite musical is Chicago.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, I love Chicago, and I used to sing some of the songs in Chicago. Yeah, yeah, I'm a big fan. I wanted to always sort of yeah, be participate, like have one of the roles, but it's too late now. Yeah, I don't think this is possible.
Well, you never know. Life changes, the world spins, but yeah, if you're happy and you're making the world happy with your art at the moment, why change? No? Now it's time. We're talking about music. We're going to do a break. We're going to listen to something that inspires Camila. We separate here a song. I hope you guys enjoy. We'll be right back after this song. See you right.